Yeah. Good evening. We'll call the April 7, 2025 Oakwood City Council meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me with the pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please, Lori?
Mayor Duncan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Byington.
Here.
Mr. Stevens.
Here.
Mrs. Turbin. Here. Mrs. Jackson. Here.
And may I have a report on the minutes of our March 3rd, 2025 regular session and work session and our March 17, 2025 work session? Councilmember Jackson.
Yes, Mayor Duncan. I've read the meeting minutes of the March 3rd regular session and work session and the March 17th work session. Upon review, I found them to be complete and correct, and I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So ordered. We have some really cool status reports tonight, and I'd like to, first of all, we're going to start with the swearing in of our new public safety officer, Nathan Arndt, and he has several guest family members with him here. His wife Robin is in the area. Raise your hand. They're sitting in the front row. Congratulations. And then daughter Alexis. She is not here. Okay. Son Jonathan, he's here. Thank you. Another daughter Reagan. There's Reagan. And then Chris and Nancy Bamford, who are mother and father-in-law, Robin's parents, and they're all here in the front row. Welcome to all of you. So what we'll do now is I'll come down and ask Chief Hill to say a few words, and then I will administer the oath of office.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Today is always a great night for the Safety Department when we add a new addition, especially with someone who brings the experience that Nathan does. Officer Nathan Arndt began his public safety career with the Beaver Creek Township Fire Department in the late 1990s. During his 26 years at Beaver Creek Fire, Officer Arndt served as a firefighter paramedic and held many specialized assignments to include managing the EMS supply inventory, SCBA maintenance and repair, communication and radio repair, and managed the hazardous materials program. In 2010, Officer Arndt was promoted to the rank of lieutenant and served as a supervisor during his last 14 years with Beaver Creek Fire. During his time as lieutenant, Officer Arndt also served as an interim battalion chief. In addition to being a certified paramedic and firefighter, Officer Arndt is also a certified fire officer, completing fire officer levels 1 through 4, holds advanced certifications in fire investigation, incident command, incident safety, and is certified in pediatric advanced life support. Additionally, Officer Arndt also holds several technical rescue certifications to include confined space, hazardous materials, ice rescue, and rope rescue. Strong fire background, but as you can see, Officer Arndt recently graduated from the Greene County Career Law Enforcement Training Center and is now in the process of completing his field training program. So please join me in welcoming Nathan to the Oakwood Public Safety Department.
So if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the State of Ohio, and I will obey the laws thereof, and that I will, in all respects, uphold and enforce the ordinances, the provisions of the charter and ordinances of this city. Okay, and will faithfully discharge the duties of public safety officer upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Our next status report is we have 3 young ladies that have received the Girl Scout Gold Awards. Are they here? They are here. So if the 3 of you could come down in front of the podium, I want to acknowledge your award, and then if each of you want to spend a minute or two explaining how you obtained this award. I have Anna Newman, I have Bridget Newman, and I have Claire Newman. How about that? How old are you? 18, 18, and 18. You getting the picture here? Okay. The Girl Scout Gold Award is the most prestigious award in Girl Scouting. I was able to issue a letter to them at the Western Ohio Council of the Girl Scouts, and I was so impressed with your background that I wanted to invite you to this council meeting, and I will reread my letter. Each one of you got the same letter, just has a different salutation. So on behalf of the city of Oakwood, I congratulate you on achieving the highest and most prestigious award in Girl Scouting, the Girl Scout Gold Award. It is an exceptional accomplishment worthy of great honor and pride. Your ability, diligence, and hard work devoted to achieving an important objective are qualities that will serve you well throughout your life. Your commitment to participation and service is already evident. Being recognized with the Girl Scout Award places you in the company of a select group of outstanding citizens. We recognize the effort and dedication required to receive this award, and we are proud that one of our citizens, 2 of our citizens, 3 of our citizens have just joined those ranks. Again, on behalf of the City Council and all our citizens, I congratulate you on this prestigious and well-deserved honor and wish you the very best in the future. Congratulations. So, Anna always gets asked first, so I'm going to start with Claire. Could you come to the microphone and just tell us a little bit about what you did to obtain this award?
Yeah, so my project is called Reuse, Reduce, and Play, and it's a club I started at the high school, Oakwood High School. We get donated sports equipment, and we give it to students in the Mad River School District. We also do like monetary donations, and a couple of fundraisers we did. We had donation boxes placed in front of the junior high and high school offices. And we also did, we sold donuts before school and did other bake sales throughout the year, and we're continuing to do it this year to raise money for sports equipment for kids in need.
Well, very good. Thank you very much.
You.
How about Bridget?
My program was Coffee with the Cop, where I worked with Lieutenant Balaj from the Oakwood Public Safety Department, and we had a few sessions in the morning at Oakwood High School at like 7:30, where I provided coffee, hot chocolate, and donuts. and students just came and like kind of were able to have positive relationships with him and just have like an adult in the community they could trust.
Great, thank you. And Anna?
My project was called Helping Our Heroes Who Hunger. It was about helping veterans with food insecurity, and I started it because during my Silver Award, we made a garden with like fresh fruits and vegetables for people who were in need in a city or in a town in Dayton. And I also learned that a lot of veterans suffer with food insecurity while writing a paper about Jonathan Dayton. And I learned that a lot of soldiers like suffered through starvation during Valley Forge. And so I started doing food Amazon, like I did an Amazon wish list that would have food go directly to the VA, and I also had collection boxes at a VFW post and also an annual food drive during Veterans Day at Harmon Elementary. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. That's outstanding. Does anybody of council have any questions for these ladies?
Very impressed.
Well, we appreciate you coming here. I know it's a busy time and with school and everything, and you're all graduating here in June, or okay. So I'll get to see your faces on the on Schaefer Boulevard. Okay, I look forward to driving up and down that road looking for you again. Okay, again, congratulations. I also have a proclamation to recognize the week of April 21st, 2025 as Arbor Week. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and is observed in the state of Ohio on the last Friday in April. Whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, reducing heating and cooling cost, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Whereas the city of Oakwood has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for the 43rd consecutive year and desires to continue its tree planting ways. Now therefore, under the power vested in me, I, William D. Duncan, Mayor of the City of Oakwood, do hereby proclaim the week of April 21st, 2025 as Arbor Week in the City of Oakwood, and I urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to support our city's urban forestry program. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and provide the well-being of present and future generations. Thank you for listening to that proclamation. And I have one more. Recognizing April 6 to April 12, 2025 as National Library Week. Whereas today's libraries are not just about books, but what they do for and with people. And whereas libraries of all types are at the heart of cities, towns, schools, and campuses. Whereas libraries and librarians empower their communities to make informed decisions by providing free access to information. And whereas libraries and librarians build strong communities through transformative services, programs, and expertise. Whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions where people of all backgrounds can be together and connect. And whereas libraries, which promote the free exchange of information and ideas for all, are cornerstones of democracy. Whereas libraries promote civic engagement by keeping people informed and aware of community events and issues, and whereas librarians and library workers partner with other civic organizations to make sure their community's needs are being met, whereas libraries are a resource for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, orientation, gender identity, and socioeconomic status, by offering services and educational resources that transform lives and strengthen communities. Whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week. Now therefore, under the power vested in me, I, William D. Duncan, Mayor of the City of Oakwood, hereby proclaim April 6 through April 12, 2025 as National Library Week, and encourage all residents to visit Wright Memorial Public Library this week to leave a note on the community board and take advantage of all the library has to offer. And I think, do we have someone here from the library? If you would like to come to the podium and say a few words, and I'll come out and... I'm sorry? Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
On behalf of Wright Library, thank you, Mayor Duncan and City Council, for this proclamation to commemorate National Library Week in Oakwood. Every day, the mission of the library is to provide diverse opportunities for lifelong learning, personal growth, education, and enjoyment to the citizens of Oakwood and to all who visit Wright Library. This week, library workers and supporters have received alarming news that the Public Library Fund provided by the state of Ohio is under scrutiny. So your kind words this evening to support the library's value in our community means even more. Bless you. Our staff and our library ambassadors will continue to uphold the library's values of empathy, community, curiosity, impact, and trust, not only this week, but in the days ahead. I hope that you will all find time, as the mayor said, to come and visit Wright Library, explore one of our upcoming programs, virtual author talks, or unexpected treasures in our physical or digital catalog. Thank you very much for recognizing National Library Week and the value of Wright Library.
Thank you. I'm going to come down here and stand in front. And
Mayor's a rock star.
Mayor?
Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah. It's true. I didn't think about that.
that concludes our status reports this evening. We have some visitors here that might still wish to address council on this matter or any other matter. If you wish to speak to council, I would ask for you to come down to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we would welcome your comments. Welcome.
I want to send these pictures to y'all real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to give y'all these pictures.
Okay. Interesting.
Thank you.
Yes, if you could state your name and address for the record, we welcome you.
Oh, okay. My name is David Woods at 3230 Lakeview Avenue. My story is not a happy story. It's a sad story indirectly, but it's not a happy story. Basically, my dad, we used to come to, Oakwood a lot and see Dr. Johnson, the dentist out here, and he did a great job. And also, my dad served in the United States Navy in the Vietnam War. And I took my dad to Kettering Hospital, right? And Dr. Nixon Bronican gave him infection that would cause his death. And so, basically, they were praying for my dad because I was seeing them do a monitor. And they had this pretty white woman. She had long black hair. She was about 30 or 35 years old. She was beautiful, right? And she prayed for my dad. And as she got done praying for him, the male nurse, my dad, he stared at my dad, and my dad was having a seizure. So he was grabbing him because the infection was hurting his body. And the male nurse slapped my dad in the face. And then my dad went unconscious, like this. And then next thing you know, the male nurse put his face like this. And then he choked him, and then they cut the camera off real quick. And then the next day, they said he went shocked and he got brain dead. So I consider that murder to me, but they said it wasn't. Christine McDonald from the Civil Rights Commission of Kettering, she investigates Kettering Main Hospital right now. And my lawyer is Kirk Klein Smith of Dallas, Texas, doing the medical mile suit right now. But when they did that, they didn't let me, I'm my dad's main power attorney in medical. And remember, he slapped my dad in the face, and he was served in the United States Navy. And my dad got a personality like Mr. Rogers and like Santa Claus. He spoiled me, get everything I want. I never did have to work till I was like 21 years old. And then I just went ahead and worked because my grandma said a man's supposed to work. So I didn't really have to work because he worked at General Motors. And basically, he went brain dead, and they didn't let me see my dad's dead body. So my dad got cremated, and I never did see his dead body at all. So the hospital have not notified me to this day that my dad is dead on this earth. And also, they haven't notified my sister and brother and my mother that my dad got slapped and choked in the face. And a pretty white woman, Chapman, she witnessed it. And Christine McDonald talked to their lawyer and the Civil Rights Commission, and Captain Perez, a security of the hospital, and Sergeant Scott Chamberlain, and they won't let the nurses talk to Christine McDonald at all. They try to keep all the women away from talking to Christine McDonald. They try to intimidate the women in Kettering Hospital nurses because they would tell the truth what happened. And still this day, they haven't told my brothers and sisters that my dad got slapped in the face and choked, or my mother, who died 5 months ago. And I guess she know now because she's in heaven, but they never did tell her that he got choked. And also, since my dad served in the United States Navy, I want Donald Trump to give the ring of honor to my dad for serving in the United States Navy. And I want to do a definition of character lawsuit with Kettering and Inglewood. And I want $2 million to go to the Civil Rights Commission, $2 million to go to my lawyers, Kirk Klein Smith of Dallas, Texas, who's doing the medical mile suit. And I want $9 million, and I don't even want to spend the money. I just want to put the money in the bank. So my dad died, not a broke man, but have something for this, because he died for nothing. And I appreciate what y'all doing, and I want Donald Trump to give my sister, on behalf of my dad, the ribbon of honor for serving the United States Navy, because he loved this country, and he loved Oakwood. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wish to address council at this time? If you could come down and state your name and address for the record, we would welcome you as well.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Gwinnett, live in 447 Volusia. Can you hear me okay?
I'm sorry, what was your...
I'll speak up a little bit.
What was
Jeremy
your-
Gwinnett. There we go. Thanks, Dennis.
Jeremy
Gwinnett.
Widdop?
GWI, yeah.
Thank you.
So Oakwood resident, I think it's pushing 23 years now, and lived on the same block. So I'm here with my wife and my neighbors tonight to talk a little bit about the recent festivities in the University of Dayton over the St. Patrick's Day holiday, even though it's, some people do tend to celebrate earlier and later. And really, I'm just here to set the stage to, basically open the floor for my wife and my neighbors to kind of relay their experiences and honestly frustration with kind of how we see current state affairs are with as far as like student housing is on Irving, the appearance of the enforcement of the zoning code in Oakwood, and just basically to figure out if there's a way that we can help maybe rebalance the relations with the university and the students, especially the students that live within our city borders. So with that in mind, I do want to say that I have owned property on Irving for 10 years. I kind of know what it is, like what you're getting into when you move on Irving as far as having to coexist with students. I would say that the character of this relationship has probably changed in the 12 years since we've lived on Volusia. And again, we'll hear some additional comments as far as how we see that maybe we need to at least check the pulse of how these things are going to see if there's any kind of corrective action that can be done, or maybe suggestions, or maybe some way that we can kind of help improve the climate, because it's especially after the kind of wild party this past time, it's just time to have that conversation again. And again, this is not my first rodeo here. I've been a part of community outreach, both with the university and the Oakwood residents in my 23 years of living here. But again, this is probably just time to talk, bring it up and talk more about it again. All right, so thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address council? Again, they would come up and state your name and address for the record as well. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I will be brief. My name is Roger Smith of 451 Volusia Avenue. I've been an Oakwood resident for 9 years. Once again, thank you for the work you do. Even tonight was fantastic. I love seeing the community up here. I was a scout leader, so we love and respect the Girl Scouts as well. But yeah, once again, it's just to reiterate that the northern boundary of Oakwood, with the emphasis on Irving, I'm going to skip the details of the incidents, but we'll just say there's been a lot of public indecency, nudity, drunkenness, just in the litter has been particularly bad, not just after the parties, but also in general. So really all we're looking for is to see if we can have some enforcement of the sanitation, rubbish, 302 property maintenance codes, the disorderly conduct codes, and maybe just a little bit more increased patrols between like 10 and 1 in that area. So, and just once again, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Welcome, and again, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jim Haney, and I live at 508.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Sure. My name is Jim Haney, and I live at 508 Irving Avenue. My partner and I bought our house there just 2 years ago, and we did know what we were getting into to some extent with having UD across the street. We underestimated what it would be like to have them as next-door neighbors. I think that there are some codes in Oakwood about student rentals, and I'm wondering whether they're being followed. There are 5 students living next door to us now, 5 boys. They party from, 4 a.m., 7 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m. It goes on. And they're quiet sometimes, but then I have to go to work on Thursday, and the beat starts at 11:30 at night. We can text them and ask them to be quieter, and they'll say, "Is that quiet enough?" And that'll go on for hours. The fact of the matter is the ordinances are in place for people like us in a community like ours. And what I'm asking City Council to do today is enforce those rules. I'd like it if the city would send a letter to all of the owners of property on Irving Avenue, explaining what the rules are and acknowledging that they will be enforced come next year, because it's not a pleasant place to live. We want to start a family, and we are house shopping. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address. I see you brought a sign.
He's got visuals.
Hi, I'm Dennis Collinson, also at 508 Irving. And yeah, I brought a visual. Student housing for rent. I don't know whose phone number it is, but it showed up on our lawn St. Patrick's Day morning, which is kind of funny. I don't know if I have a hyperactive imagination or if it's a veiled threat of some sort. We've had homophobic slurs lobbied at us several times from students walking down the street. I understand that Eric Spina, the president of UD, is an Oakwood resident over on Ridgeway Avenue. I hope that on Ridgeway Avenue he doesn't have to contend with slurs being levied at him. Yeah, my understanding is that there are rules about the number of students that can live in a house and that the houses are inspected yearly. I don't understand how they would pass those inspections, given that we know for a fact that there's attic and basement rooms in all of them. I do know that my neighbors have to follow Oakwood's rules around trellises and moldy garages. Sorry about that, fine, you guys. I would just hope that the same level of enforcement be applied to students who don't contribute to the tax base, where we want to be happy Oakwood residents. We love our neighbors, and we also love the library and the Girl Scouts. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to address council at this time? Please come and state your name and address for the record. Welcome as well.
Hi, I'm Val Smith. I live at 451 Volusia Avenue. So, does anybody know what a Borg jug is? You do? So it's I didn't until very recently. It's a milk gallon sized jug filled with water, electrolytes, and an obscene amount of alcohol. It stands for Black Outrage Gallon. I had to look it up because big party weekends at UD. After them, our neighborhood is just strewn with it. On our side of Oakwood, drinking holidays, UD parent weekends, and even just like a beautiful Friday afternoon bring a sense of like pretty serious impending dread. It means that our neighborhood streets will be jam-packed with vehicles that don't belong to Oakwood residents. They belong to UD kids and their friends. They treat our neighborhood like a garbage can. We've watched more than one person empty the entire contents of their car onto our lawn. We've woken up to a number of drunken fights outside our window. Our property and vehicles have been damaged and broken into on many occasions. And we have watched at least 5 people peeing in our yards. The most recent was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was St. Patrick's Day. The student renters on Irving have no regard for the fact that they are part of a community. They play lewd music at max volume. They swear loudly when children are around, and they do not take care of their properties. In the past 9 years we've lived in Volusia, the partying has gotten out of control. Each year is more troubling than the last. We worry that once property is filled up with student renters on Irving, which it nearly is, out-of-town investors will start buying up homes on Volusia, and our family will soon be surrounded. They actually advertise that they can make up to $60,000 a year by renting out homes on Irving. So I'm here today to ask 2 things. First being that the Oakwood Police increase their presence on weekends in North Oakwood. We do not feel safe with so many inebriated individuals wandering around and driving through our neighborhood. The second request is that the city enforces Section 409 of the Oakwood Zoning Code, which prohibits large numbers of renters from occupying a single residence. The standard of living the students have created is a strain on our neighborhood and our family. I am concerned for what my young son will witness on these wild weekends, and I am concerned for our personal safety at times. This is not what I expected from a community like Oakwood, and it's not what we signed up for when we moved here. So.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address council? And if you would state your name and address for the record, and welcome.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sarah Gwinnett at 447 Volusia. My husband spoke first out of our little group. To reiterate a lot of what they've said, we're talking about the weekend of March 8th was when UD had their big celebration for St. Patrick's Day, because now the rules at UD, they usually do their spring break on actual St. Patrick's Day week, so they avoid those parties, but it's kind of crept into celebrating ahead of when they leave for spring break. And then after, they have Blue Beer Day at some of the shops, like on Brown. And this year was awful. It was like off the charts awful. I saw people peeing on trees across the street from me. I had to yell at some students. It felt like there just was not enough presence from the PD locally, like to kind of keep check of what was going on, because UD, this year they closed several parking lots and streets, so people couldn't come and park actually at campus to enjoy these festivities. So they were creeping into our neighborhood and using it as its garbage can, as its giant parking lot, as its area where it was going to make all of its Borg drinks, which I have pictures of on my phone, of them actually making these in the tree lawn. They would get all their alcohol out of their trunk and just make it on the street. And it's just, there's trash all through the alley. Our house backs right up to Irving. So the Irving alley is always just full of trash, no matter when it is. So I think the trash collectors come even ahead of trash day to kind of pre-pick up some stuff, and then they come back on trash day to get their actual trash. But it looks like a wasteland in our alley. And last year we had a letter from the city about our garage being in need of some repair, and it's like, really? Like, okay, yes, I understand that, but also with all of this unsightly stuff going on in our backyard, it's just very upsetting that we're getting in trouble for little things, but what is being done to actually maintain what is going on in our area of Oakwood? It's just become kind of overrun by UD. My husband, he lived on Irving for 10 years. I met him while he was living there and lived there for like 2 years, I think, with him. And then we moved and we had children, bought our house in Volusia, and we've been on Volusia for 12. And when we left Irving, it was basically all families. And in a short 12-year time frame, which honestly isn't that long, it's just the majority now are student rentals. And I thought there was laws and rules about that, like only so many, like you had to be related by so many people to live in a rental. And these are clearly just student rentals that people are making a big profit off of. And I'm very worried that one day if we have to sell, A, who would buy our house because of what's going on? B, is somebody going to buy our house and use it like what they're doing on Irving? And we live in a Lewis Lot historical house. So it makes me very upset that, we're taking care of these treasures that are in our community where people want to live, but it's being kind of blindsided and ruined by the neighbors right behind us that are just using those houses as straight up rentals and just not taking care of stuff, not abiding by normal rules and laws of living in a community. Like half the time I don't think anybody even knows they're in Oakwood. And it's like, yeah, you're not on campus here. And it's just, there's a big division of what we feel responsible for and what we're being dealt with. And like, we can't just sit on our porch on a weekend because it's blasted with music from UD. And it's like just right there on Irving, which should be family homes. Should be. But it's just gotten to the point where we can't enjoy our properties when they're gone, like for Christmas, like their breaks or whatever. Yeah, then it feels like a regular neighborhood. But when they're in session at school, it's a crapshoot. You never know if you're going to be up at 4 a.m. because you hear somebody's loud music again, or somebody's having a fight in the street or the alley, and it's just exhausting. And we want to live in our house. I love my house. And I love Oakwood. I love this community. So I just really want to there has to be something that happens that can come out of this, that can help maintain how we feel as residents, and also continuing, like, okay, fine, if there are going to be rentals, okay, but they need to be following what all of us are following. And it's not fair that we're the ones policing it ourselves by just keeping track just seeing what goes on. And I don't want to call the cops every 5 seconds of my life. I don't have that kind of time either, but it's just, it's just gotten to a point where we're just really tired of it. Every year it just keeps getting worse. And this March 8th was over the top, and that's just why we felt we wanted to come out and talk. So thank you very much for your time.
Bill, may I?
Yes, please.
Sarah, will you represent your neighbors if I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
We normally don't do this, but I really want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
And I appreciate all of you coming. So, when you say you don't want to call the police every 5 seconds, I will not go out on a limb here and say that we, as a city, including the safety department, will not know what's going on unless you call. We need you to call. I'm just going to say that. We don't need to debate that. We just need you to call. If you see something, we need you to call.
Well, and we definitely have called. All of us have done our fair share of calling things, but, there's only the few of us that showed up tonight for this, but
there's only 30% are homeowners, 70%. 70% are rentals, and I want to tell you that too, that unfortunately we can't control when someone buys a house.
I know.
If it's a rental.
I'm actually in school for real estate.
So I just,
so I do know
and
that.
I just want you to be aware. I mean, I just, I have to make sure that
right.
We would love to have that magic wand to fix that problem, of noise and parking and, the trash, obviously. But, there is no magic wand for that when these are college students and we don't know what's going on, meaning that we're not told that something is happening.
Okay.
Okay. So I just encourage you to call if something is going on. If somebody is playing music at 4 a.m. and you can't sleep, I hope the phone call is made. I would call, and I live up by Smith School. It doesn't matter where you live, Have you talked to UD?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've sent emails to their Department of Housing, and I've been. That was over a different incident during COVID.
Okay.
But yes, we have reached out, and they reached out to somebody that they are in contact with here back then, and I don't know who that was or what came of that, but it's just.
And then when I can't remember who made the comment. I apologize. On there's five students living in a house. Mm-hmm. We can't really. We don't go make random checks on how many moved in. They may have signed up with the landlord, because we do have. And if you want to learn more about it, you can talk to our law director, and he can explain. We do have many, many guidelines. Okay. Unfortunately, the one about family it was ruled unconstitutional. We can't do that anymore. So there's a lot of things that have changed, but what I'm trying to say is that if there are 5, I think that you said there were boys. Okay, well, if there's 5 and there's only 2 bedrooms, obviously that's a problem. But there's guidelines, and this is something that we need to be aware of. We can't just do anything about it if we're not told, because we can't monitor how many students are living in a house on a regular basis if they move in, let's say, after the semester starts. This is where things may. And unfortunately, many of the landlords, I'm sure, are out of town. That's an educated guess on my part. So
a lot of them do not live
They do
locally.
what they're supposed to do as far as our guidelines, and then they just collect the money. And I do know that they do make a lot of money off those rentals. That's why, and COVID, because they couldn't sell their homes, that's why there's so many rentals down there, because they had a hard time selling the houses, so they turned them into student rentals, which are gold mines. So I just want to make sure you're aware that we do know what's going on, and it's just very hard unless you call and let us know. And
so, like every little tiny thing I'm supposed to call?
Well, what is a tiny thing? Because it sounds like everything is important. If the alley is trashed, I want to know about it. If there's a noise complaint and it's 4 a.m., I want you to call. If there's a fight in an alley, I want you to call. I mean, those are the only things we can do. We can't just drive around and, oh, wait, there might be 5 boys living in that house. We need to know an incident, and then we can act on it. And I do know for a fact our officers are down there on a regular basis, and they were definitely down there on March 8th because we have asked that question.
Not enough during the day. At nighttime, yes, we saw them driving around quite a bit, but during the day there was hardly any presence, and we couldn't even leave our house. Sorry.
Well, if any of you would like to meet with our attorney, he can talk to you about guidelines of housing and what we have in effect.
Could you please come back up to the podium, please?
Hello again, Jim Haney, 508 Irving Avenue. So the ordinance said that there was a limit to this, and there were rules, and that's the understanding I had when I bought my house.
I don't know when you bought your house, but the 409 was a new code section 6, 7 years ago. I don't remember exactly when we did it.
Well, we've been dealing with this issue for 20 years.
Yeah, we have. The reason that we adopted 409 at all was we used to have a different section that very clearly said anything more than 2 unrelated persons does not constitute a family. If you have more than 2 unrelated, unless you got like a nanny, then it's not a family. That's what he was referring to earlier when he said that's been ruled unconstitutional. It was not a lawsuit against Oakwood. It was elsewhere. But we revisited that part of our code because those fixed numbers are unconstitutional. The courts have basically said they don't want government engaged in the exercise of deciding who is and who isn't your family and all that kind of thing. I mean, you're free to associate and live with those who you want to. However, we're allowed to pass laws. We, meaning the city, allowed to pass laws that preserve residential character, quiet neighborhood ambiance, all those kinds of things. So what we did when we adopted 409 was we tried to tailor a bunch of guidelines to addressing that aspect and getting away from the specific number. We still have something in there that says more than 2 unrelated persons may be a factor that can be considered, but it's considered along with a whole laundry list of other things that are designed to get to, is this group of people living together either as a traditional family, related by blood, marriage, adoption, that sort of thing, or are they at least the functional equivalent of a family? Are they at least living together as a kind of as a family unit? And all the different guidelines that you'll see in 409. I don't know if you've read it or if you have a copy.
I have read it, yes.
All those various factors that are in there are designed to get at that question of, are they the functional equivalent of a family? Do they have separate locks on their bedroom doors? Do they shop for groceries together? Do they all live there during the school year and then go somewhere else during the summers? Are they students? Do they have jobs in the community? Where are their driver's licenses coming back? Where are their license plates coming back to? No one factor is controlling, but when you do a balancing and a weighing of them, it's, I think the preponderance of the evidence, which is like which way does the scale tip once you weigh those factors?
It makes sense.
That's how we have to process those. But to his point about how we do that, how we find the violations, it's complaint driven. We are not getting search warrants and kicking doors open and demanding to know how many people are living here, how many locks do you have. We can't do that. But if you have a house that you're concerned about, you think, hey, these guys are not the equivalent of family. These are just a bunch of people that are partying and they're causing a neighborhood disturbance. And so let us know so we can do the analysis and decide.
Thank you for that explanation. Are the leases registered with the city? These leases are $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 per house per year for 9 months, and the kids will all move out.
What we get and what we require there is when a property is being used as a rental, the landlord needs to have a rental unit inspection, which is, for those of you who've bought homes, you've done the pre-sale inspection program. Same kind of thing for a rental unit. They do a rental unit inspection and they get a certificate of occupancy for their new tenant. Along with that, they have to provide to us what we call a tenant information form, which gives us the names of the tenants, a contact phone number for the people there if we had to reach the people who are living there versus the owner. It's mostly contact information and names and how they're related. I think that's also on the form.
Right.
But we don't get copies of the leases. Frankly, we're not really looking at the dollar figures that are involved. We're looking at the behavior in the neighborhood.
It's the obligation of each individual that is the interesting part of the lease. That makes it seem as if they're not family members with one another. I imagine that not one person is signing up for an $80,000 lease for 4 other students. I imagine they probably all have agreements with the landlord, and having the lease agreement would check that. I don't think that they register their driver's licenses. Their license plates don't change. I doubt they're registered voters. They're certainly not here in the summer. All of the factors that were written into Section 409 are the factors that we're witnessing as residents.
Again, I would if you've got a property that you think is in violation, let us know so we can do
all of the 500 block of Irving Avenue that wasn't owned by the people that live in them. All of them are occupied by more people than they're supposed to be.
Go ahead. I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but we say more than they're supposed to be. We don't have a set number. It's not based on a number. Okay. We have to look at all the other factors as well, and that's that constitutional issue.
Understood. Thank you.
One of the things, because we have been dealing with this issue for a long time, and we have relationships with the university housing people and the University of Dayton Police. I think that's what they're called, their security departments. But what I will say is when I saw pictures in the Dayton Daily News of a Springboro police officer down there where the center of the party was, and hearing that they are inviting, you know, their kids that are going to UC to come up there, inviting Centerville high school students to go there. Whatever the university is doing is not enough. They may think that this is a random episode, but they have a perception problem down at the University of Dayton. And the last time I read my scriptures, a Marinus institution is supposed to be a good neighbor. They are not a good neighbor to Oakwood, and Eric Spina, the president, needs to deal with this issue. It's not an Oakwood issue. It's a University of Dayton issue. We'll do our best to help y'all, but our city manager's from Xavier, so I can't say anything more. Yeah, we'll take care of that for you. Okay.
No, it was placed in our yard.
Okay, all right. Does anyone else have any comments regarding this matter, or do we want to, are you all done? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Don't see anybody else that still wants to address council on any this or any other issue? Okay. Then we will close the visitor portion of our meeting and go straight to legislation. And it appears to be Councilmember Stevens' show.
Yes,
Welcome.
I have 4, so I'll just rattle these off.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Duncan. First one is an ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of certain streets between certain termini in the city of Oakwood, Ohio, by lighting the same with electricity. This is an annual ordinance that is the second step of our 2026 street lighting program. It is the ordinance that authorizes the city to proceed with the project. It was introduced with a first reading at our March 3rd council meeting. This is the second reading of this ordinance, and I move that council adopt it tonight.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions for Councilmember Stevens? Hearing none. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
An ordinance levying special assessments for the improvement of certain streets between certain termini in the city of Oakwood, Ohio, by lighting the same with electricity. This is the third and final step of our 2026 street lighting program. It allows for the costs of street lighting to be certified to the Montgomery County Auditor for assessment. This is the first reading of this ordinance, so I make no motion at this time.
Thank you.
An ordinance determining to proceed with the repairing of sidewalks and appurtenances thereto on certain streets between certain termini in the city of Oakwood, Ohio, and providing that abutting property owners repair the same. This is an annual ordinance that is the second step of our 2025 sidewalk, curb, and driveway apron project. It was introduced with the first reading at our March 3rd council meeting. This year's program area covers all city streets within the area bounded by Far Hills Avenue to the west, but not including Far Hills Avenue, the Oakwood-Kettering boundary line to the east, the Oakwood-Kettering boundary line to the south, and Corona Avenue to the north. This is a second reading of this ordinance, and I move that council adopt it this evening.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions for Councilmember Stevens? Hearing none. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
And finally, this is an ordinance to levy special assessments for the construction or reconstruction of sidewalks and appurtenances thereto in the city of Oakwood, Ohio. This ordinance is the third piece of legislation for last year's sidewalk, curb, and driveway apron repair project, authorizing the assessment of the sidewalk repair costs that have not been paid directly by affected homeowners. This is the first reading of this ordinance, so I make no motion at this time.
Thank you. That concludes our legislation this evening. It is now time for our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 quick updates. I just wanted to wish the 12 employees of the city who were celebrating April birthdays this month, including Linda Menard, Brian Caldwell, Jane Morgan, Stephen Short, Josh Ferguson, Jeffrey Yount, Dave Carmine, Cyril Matthews, Jacob Dupler, Keith Benson, Scott Loper, and Barbara Class. For April anniversaries, we have Scott Loper celebrating 4 years with the city, Jacob Dupler celebrating 1 year, Steve Norris is celebrating 14 years, Chris Froelich, 5 years, Nancy Gill, 17 years, Rob Wilson, 23 years, and Nicholas Milburn, 10 years. So congratulations to all of those employees. Also, I'm pleased to share that the city has partnered with Swim Safe Pool Management to operate Gardner Pool this season. Swim Safe brings strong expertise in lifeguard staffing, safety training, and pool maintenance, helping us provide a safe, clean, and welcoming experience for all of our residents. They are currently hiring for several positions at the Gardner Pool, including lifeguards and attendants, so anyone who's interested can learn more and apply at swimsafepool.com. We're looking forward to a great season this year. Thank you.
Any questions for our city manager? All right, it's now time for council comments. Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to mention how much I enjoyed the new residents breakfast on March 8th. The new residents met all the city senior staff members, our city judge, and representatives from our school and library, and they were encouraged to get involved in events. And I just think this is such a great experience for them to see, to meet everyone, and also we share the values that we have in Oakwood for community and involvement. And one of the suggested events was to learn our city's history by attending the Oakwood Historical Society's Right at Home tour on April 26. The new residents were assured that by participating in this tour, their walks around town would be even more interesting because they'd get to know who lived where and who invented what. So tickets are still available for that tour. And then finally, I don't think it's too early to remind residents to plan their block parties, because so often the pre-planning parties are as good as the party itself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Turbin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Well, you know, with all the rain we've had, it was certainly good to see some sunshine today, but it's also a good time to look back in history and remember the Great Flood of 1913. You know, the Great Flood of 1913 happened about this time of year. It was the last week of March in 1913. And Dayton had been hit with a series of winter rainstorms over a period of 5 days, and it caused the greatest natural disaster in Ohio. The existing levees had failed, and of course, you know, downtown Dayton was flooded with up to 20 feet of water. And I'm sure you also know that much of the relief effort was led by John H. Patterson, but what you may not know is that he actually halted all of the normal operations at NCR, and he instructed employees to build 300 flat-bottom boats for rescue, for flood rescue. And then he turned his factories into emergency shelters, and he organized doctors and nurses to provide the medical care. And when the presses at the Dayton Daily went down, they used the presses at NCR to continue the news coverage. But it really didn't stop there. After the flood, Patterson was determined that it would not happen again. And so he hired an engineer from Tennessee, Arthur E. Morgan, to design an extensive flood prevention plan. And that was the beginning of the Miami Conservancy District. The plan, incidentally, that they based it on was the flood plan from the Loire Valley in France. So may we. And it included for Dayton 5 earthen dams that would have conduits to release a certain amount of water at a time, a series of levees supported by a flood storage areas behind the dams, which would be used as farmland when it wasn't flooded. Morgan's goal was to develop a flood plan that would handle 140% of the water that came during the flood of 1913. And since its completion, the Miami Valley Conservancy District has protected Dayton from flooding more than 1,500 times. And so when we look out at the rain, instead of worrying about the rivers overflowing, we think about how green and lush our garden is going to be, and remember how very lucky we are to live here.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevens.
No comments this evening.
Vice Mayor Byington.
Well, I will say that I've been accused of being old and crusty, but that it does my heart good when we said the Pledge of Allegiance to hear all the little kids saying it as well. I got misty a little bit. It just, I love the fact that they are civically engaged, and that they felt like it was important enough to come and be representatives of the library. The other thing I will mention is that, you know, we had the Library Week proclamation. The library is something very near and dear to my heart. I served as the Library Board President for a few years. It's, I believe, as was mentioned by the library staff, it is under attack right now from Ohio legislation. Our so-called representative, Andrea White, who supposedly represents Oakwood, is one of the people who will be voting on this. I encourage everyone to give a call to her office at 614-644-6008 and let her know, you know, just how important the library is. They want to cut the public library funding, and it's probably likely, if it happens, that we won't see the little ambassadors anymore, that's a program that will be cut. So it's something that I think is very, very important to our community, and I would hope that our representative would understand that, and I would hope that the people of Oakwood would make an effort to call her and let her know that.
Okay, thank you. Just to follow up a little bit on Councilmember Turbin's article about the flood, Lane Stadium down at the old River Fields came to our attention when we met with them 5 or 6 months ago. Lane Stadium was under 10 feet of water during the 1913 flood, and I don't think many people in our area even knew that the flood came farther south than just downtown Dayton. I also wanted to, on a sad note, wanted to announce that Fred Dudding, one of our great Oakwood residents, passed away here last month. He was 84 and served on our Budget Review Committee for 35 years, and so he will be missed. He also was very active with the Wright Library as well as the Oakwood City School District. Also last month, we have a new state senator here representing Oakwood, Willis Blackshear. Willis used to be a state rep in downtown Dayton, and he's now a state senator representing both Dayton and Oakwood. He came to our city to meet with our public safety department and learn about all the good deeds that our Oakwood Public Safety Department does for our citizens, and so we appreciate him taking time out of his schedule to visit the city of Oakwood. Another issue was last month, Lieutenant Chuck Balaj presented at the U.S. Army Worldwide Terrorism Web Conference on behalf of the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. His presentation focused on the Oregon District mass shooting and was delivered to an international audience of 1,700 counterterrorism professionals representing every U.S. Army base worldwide. So I want to thank Chuck Balaj, Lieutenant Balaj, for his continued excellence in representing both the city and the safety department in this critical role. And then I also want to acknowledge our clerk of council, Lori Stasel. She will deny that she had anything to do with this. But, you know, we send out an annual report every year to every citizen. It's very well done. It answers all different kinds of questions about every different department. And our 2003 Oakwood annual report, 2024 just got delivered to you all here probably 10 days ago maybe. But our 2023 annual report has been honored with the Silver 2025 Print Excellence Award. It was presented by the Graphic Media Alliance. The Print Excellence Award celebrates outstanding talent innovation, and craftsmanship in the printing industry. Think Patented, who's who we use and contract with to help produce this, submitted our report for consideration, and we're proud to be recognized among the top printing achievements in 36 categories across Ohio, Michigan, and northern Indiana. So congratulations to you for all your work. I know you had a lot to do with it. So, and then that will conclude my, oh wait, one other thing. We're having Coffee with a Cop on Wednesday. I know one of the gals that was the Gold Award winner, was involved in that. And that is going to be this Wednesday, I think, from 10 to 11:30 at Wright Library. So I would encourage you to go have coffee with a cop. I don't drink coffee, so I won't be there. So, but anyway, that concludes our meeting. Our next meeting is going to be on Monday, May 5th, and we are adjourned.